Hello everyone, I'm Ronald Mehta and welcome back to marketing91.com. We provide management and marketing training to students and professionals worldwide through our courses, videos and community. This video is part of our comprehensive take on the gamut of human resource management. Let's start with the gamut of human resource policies, also known as HR policies. Well, this video would cover the following topics starting from the introduction to HR policies, case studies of Mcdonald's and Airbnb's policies, types of HR policies, process of developing policies, areas and features, requisites of an effective HR policy, and finally, the need for reviewing and updating the HR policy at your organization. Let's start with the introduction. Human resource policies serve as a guidance for the method the organization intends to use to manage its workforce. The company's aims for various human resource administration aspects like employment, coaching, remuneration, promotion, election, etc. are expressed through these policies. Moving on, let's look at a case study of McDonald's. Well, employees at McDonald's must adhere or follow to a number of rules that are exclusive to the brand. Let's see how. The very first, they have to refuse to offer these consumers through drive-thru service. Let's see who are they. One of the most crucial services of the McDonald's company is the drive-thru. However, if you arrive on a foot or on a bicycle, no one from the restaurant giant will be able to assist you at the drive-thru window. Next, be cool around celebrities. Everyone has a favorite McDonald's order. Even Adele and Kylie Jenner, and the celebrity preference towards classic food of McDonald's has been popular. Nevertheless, when a famed person visits a McDonald's restaurant, the team is told to maintain their composure and absolutely not to request a selfie. Next, refuse tips. There is a no tipping rule in place at McDonald's. However, if you do decide to leave some spare change, do not assume it will be given to the person who served you. In fact, the tip given by customers goes straight into the charity box, such as the Ronald McDonald House donation box. Some workers confided that collecting the tips for themselves would be seen as theft. Next, pretend that you don't own a phone. According to an employee handbook, employees at McDonald's have to ensure that their phones or any other type of technological gadgets are not utilized, viewed or overheard in any way once they log into the system. These rules also encompass recording videos or taking photos while on McDonald's property. Next is you are refrained from making your own meals. Employees are allowed to consume food at a greatly discounted price or for free during their shifts, conditional on the location, but they are not allowed to make their own food. Instead, according to one employee handbook, a manager is required to take the staff member's order and assemble it for them while the staff member waits in the consumer area once they clock out for their mealtime break, and not standing around at work. In addition to these, the employee handbook also states that the staff members should not show up to the restaurant more than 15 minutes before their shift begins or remain after the shift has ended for more than 15 minutes. Additionally, they are not permitted to stand around the manager's table, safe or cupboards. Moving on to the next case study of Airbnb. Well, staff members can now live and work from anywhere. Brian Chesky, and co-founder and CEO of the home sharing company, in an email to all the employees of the company addressing a new policy. According to the email, employees of Airbnb are free to live and work from anywhere. Additionally, employees will have the freedom to relocate anywhere in the nation without a change in their remuneration, will be able to work remotely, and will routinely get together approximately 4 times a year for team outings and social occasions in addition to other things. In addition to being futuristic, Chesky positioned the policy as a special approach to achieve a number of HR objectives such as attracting top talent and creating a bearing pool. He penned, "We want to hire and retain the best people like you in the world." Moving on. As stated by him, if we limited our talent pool to commuting radius around our offices, we would be at significant disadvantage. The best people live everywhere, not concentrated in one area. And by recruiting from a diverse set of communities, we'll become a more diverse company. According to Chesky, the world is growing to be more open-minded about where individuals can work from, which is a trend that directly supports Airbnb's industry. He said, "We wouldn't have recovered so quickly from the pandemic had it not been for millions of people working from Airbnbs." Moving on, now let's look at the types of HR policies. Origin and the characterization can be the basis of segregating HR policies. Well, the first one is the originated policies. These are generally devised by the senior executives to direct their juniors in the office space. Next, implicit policies. Also known as implied policies, these policies are not officially recorded and originate from the conduct of usually senior executives in the organization. So it's like an informal culture what people follow. Next is imposed policies. Sometimes external factors like trade alliances, governments, and business unions are reasons for the origin of certain policies, typically a force from the government. And finally comes the appeal policies. Situations in which existing policies do not work and an appeal for new policies is made. This appeal can be raised by juniors or is typically done by them. Moving on to the process of developing HR policies. Well, it entails the following steps, broadly 12 of them. Starting with the first one, statement, as in what the policy needs to convey needs to be written down. Next comes the duties, as in the responsibilities to be carried out by the employee as per the policy. At number 3, the explanation, as in define any words used in the policy explicitly, no ambiguity. At number 4, queries. Employees have queries and policies must recognize authorities that can solve it. At number 5, references. Provide citations of additional policies, bylaws or papers that you've referred from. Then comes the date of enforcement. Date when the policy becomes enforceable and the dates of alterations. Then comes the date of re-examination. Specify when the policy is scheduled to be re-examined. Next comes the stage of acceptance. Specify when the policy has been sanctioned and by whom. Then comes noting the plan of action, followed by re-evaluation of policy by important bodies, the acceptance of policies across the organization, and finally, the execution of policy from a starting date. So these are the 12 broad steps that go into developing any HR policy at your organization. Moving on to the areas of HR policy. Well, there are many areas. We look at them randomly, starting with the first one, the employee development policy. A company's dedication to expanding the skill set and capabilities of its employees must be conveyed through its employee development policy. Next comes the employee relation policy. How employees are allowed to practice their rights and express their interests to the administration through groups that represent them must be established in this policy. At number 3, the employee voice policy. This establishes the company's belief in giving their employees the chance to voice out their concerns about subjects that are related to them. At number 4, policy for health and safety. All the offerings made by the company to create a healthy and safe space within the workspace must be established in this policy. This is very much important, especially at manufacturing locations. At number 5 is the grievance redressal policy. If the employees have complaints, it is their right to bring them to the notice of their manager. If they find that the complaint has not been fixed, then they have the right to raise it through a representative. At number 6, redundancy policy. Companies try to steer clear of involuntary redundancy by using their finest resources by means of schemes related to redeployment. The company provides abundant warning and also gives them all the help that is possible in order to find them other jobs. At number 7 is the reward policy. Provide fair remuneration systems, equitably matching the value of work with the compensation provided, compensating employees for their abilities, expertise, and accomplishment. At number 8, and very important, is the recruitment and selection policy. This policy's goal is to make sure that the finest applicant is recruited to an election procedure that is transparent and impartial, as in no bias. This guides companies in a detailed manner and indicates how this election and selection procedure must be implemented. At number 9, training and development policy. Robust principles must be the basis of any training and development policy. Instead of being considered as a cost, which companies typically do, companies must think of their employees as a resource that is worthy of being invested in. Companies must consider the probability of their employees developing in both professional and personal aspects. The need and demands of businesses must be the basis of the growth and coaching provided by the company. The growth and coaching opportunities provided by the organization must comply with industrial norms. In addition, organizations must preserve good relations with pertinent groups. At number 10, and the very important one again, is the performance appraisal policy. By developing an enterprising and able workforce, this policy's goal must be to enhance the efficacy of the company. Official meetings must be concluded annually to evaluate the progress made. This is a part of the continuous process of appraisal. In order to fulfill the needs of both the company and the employees, appraisal conversations must be bilateral, where both parties are actively involved. At number 11 is the compensation policy. The aim of the policy is to provide clearly established and fair strategies. The opportunities for profit and compensation by the organization must be clearly established. This policy must be in accordance with tax and lawful requirements related to remuneration and profits. This policy must convey the profit value to existing as well as potential future recruits. At number 12 is the promotion policy. Ways to get a promotion is the first thing that should be indicated in the policy. The policy must establish all the different ways of getting promotions to various designations. For example, it must clearly state that an employee working as an accounts clerk can be raised to the position of an accounts officer or an accountant. Well, the gamut of evaluation now comes into picture here. The premises of promotion are to be distinctly established to employees through this policy. It should comprehensively state whether the basis of promotion is the ability, experience, or performance. Well, moving on to the features of HR policies. First, they need to be pliable and inventive. The process of devising policies is a very pliable and creative one. It cross-examines traditional ways of handling things. It motivates fresh and innovative ideas that are either more efficient or help traditional techniques become more efficient. Whether it is feasible in the process, other people can give their opinions and suggestions about the policies. Next, a long-term perspective. The results that these policies are devised to attain must be distinctly explained in the policy. The basis of such policies must be long-term analysis of statistical data and prognosis related to political, cultural, social, and economic tendencies that will most likely influence the policy. Next, they should be based on some proof. Research that has already been done is evaluated and is the basis of these policies. In-house as well as external specialists are a part of this process. Next, all-encompassing. When formulating policies, consideration is given to the impact on the needs and all of those who are directly or indirectly impacted by the policies. Next, calibrating or fine-tuning with the aims of the company. The policy aims to build a moral, ethical, and legal foundation by offering a comprehensive vision of the policy that extends beyond organizational borders to the management's strategic objectives. Next, assessment. An essential constituent of the policy devising process is assessing the policy's effectualness in a systematic manner. Next, periodic evaluations. The effectiveness of current policy should be continuously assessed to ensure that it is actually addressing issues. Moving on to the requisites of an effective HR policy. Well, first, it should be oriented towards the company's goals. Next, the intelligibility of the policy. Next, it should be concise and precise to current standards. The elasticity and flexibility of the policy. Well, the policy should be accepted by the employees and they should not feel that it is enforced on them. Well, it should be written in nature in black and white and making sure that the dealings are unbiased and equal in the policy. Finally, now let's look at the need for reviewing and updating HR policies. First, to align it with the constant changes in the work surroundings. Work surroundings are always very dynamic, as we saw in the case of the pandemic, where the workings moved from an on-campus setup or the on-site setup to a work-from-home setup. So policies had to be revised, as we saw in the case of Airbnb. The deterioration of employees is highly interrelated with the remuneration provided to them. Hence, values and policies related to compensation need to be revised in a timely manner based on the changing standards of the industry or even inflation for that matter, right? Next is enhance the culture in the company. The governing factor behind the conduct of employees is the workplace culture. It is a shared belief and principles within the workplace. Healthy human resource policies that require adherence to principles like equality, impartiality, etc. lead to healthy workplace culture. Next, international growth. The management of companies is greatly influenced by globalization. The administration of a company is aided through up-to-date human resource policies to prepare their companies and align them with international standards and cream industry practices. Next, making sure that there is healthy diversity management. In today's world, innovation and pliability influence competition to a great extent. Therefore, if a company handles diversity within the company ably, it has a huge advantage in the market. In order to fulfill customer requirements, a company needs to be pliable and versatile. And finally, making sure there's harmony within the company. It is very common to find conflicts within the workplace. In order to evolve into a cooperative workplace, socializing with each other is important within the workplace. A workplace where there is harmony among employees can be motivated through policies related to employee voicing, communication, etc. So that's it, folks. This brings an end to the gamut of HR policies. These are the list of sources and links referred to for our content in the video. Thank you and stay tuned for more videos.